Hello, my name is Luna and you're watching The Luna Show. Right now you're about to meet the icon herself, Kristina Tsunami.
Hey, you people! Hey,
Look who I got on The Luna Show. Luna.
Luna.
Are you going to introduce your daughter?
Of course, this is my one that's been keeping me because you guys know on Facebook I lost my other one like 3 weeks ago. She's my last daughter.
Oh, she's
yeah,
cute.
She's 7 years old. Her name is Princess Daisy. She's my daughter, my puss, and she's a virgin still.
You know, you and I know each other for so long. We know each other since 1988.
You knew me from the beginning of my seed of Kristina. Actually, when I was Camille.
And Penelope too, right?
Okay, yeah. That was the moment when I was crossing over. Yeah, Penelope. 12 going on 13 going on 14.
Yeah, we used to go to Harvey Milk High School.
Yeah.
We were a part of the old IPG, which is now the Hedrick Martin
Rose
Institute.
Chanel was a student with us.
Evie
the
Milan.
Evie Milan. We had the
Letitia.
Keisha was with us.
Ebony.
Yeah.
Denise.
Wow.
We went to, yeah.
We had all the Chinese stars. We went to school together.
Hell yeah.
And Shanice. Do you remember Shanice?
Yeah. Oh, I forgot she used to go to the school with us.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Where is she? I haven't seen her in a minute.
She's doing well. She's still taking care of her good friend Jamal.
And what about Moldavia? Everybody always asks about
she's alive. I know that she really follows Christ. She really does. I think she's regardless, she finally found, I think, a peace within herself, and I'm glad she did, and she's following Christ. Yeah.
Well, so we know a lot of the old girls, and you know what's interesting is that you've been in this scene for a long time. Can you tell me?
Oh my God!
What do you, no, but you look great. But what I'm saying is, like, we started really young.
Right, we did.
We did, because that's what ballroom does. It attracts very young people.
But actually, that's when your talent and your creativity level is raw and fresh and powerful, and it takes a great, smart parent to pinpoint. And I thank God the house of Richards. Angel, God bless his soul, and Father Richards grabbed me and my mother Leah. Saw the potential when everybody was the ballroom back then was really racially motivated. It was like black versus white back then. It was like the Strappers versus Laudacious. The girls were getting cut in the face, thrown in the water, maced, everything on the pier. It was a really very racially gang motivated. It wasn't even a house. It was a gang racial affiliation back then. The ballroom back in the 80s, because at that time that's what the society represented: blacks, whites, and Spanish. You couldn't cross over. And now, where we live at now, there's all kinds of mixes now. But back then, that was not the game plan. It was stick with your kind. And me, I didn't have that notion. So I didn't represent the Spanish people, because that wasn't my thought process of, don't hang out with the black people. And I wasn't with the other group because I wasn't black. But I was like, okay, where do I fit in? Because I love them both. Where do I go? And that caused me to even have more of an outcast. More of being the obscure one, because I didn't choose any side. So I became kind of like the generation that changed things. They didn't know it, and I didn't know at the time, but now I knew. I represented something that was coming to where the ballroom scene was going. And I'm glad I stood my ground and didn't choose any side and chose both. Because even though you don't see the racial motivation in as publicly as it was before, you see it through the decision of politics, like the judging of the panels, the picking of whoever. You still can see the racial motivation within the politics of the ballroom scene.
So what got you in the ball scene?
It's gonna sound funny because I live in a traditional Spanish home with 6 brothers. It was no girls. I was the only girl, of course. And I was 13, and this is when I became aware. This is, I guess, my maturity of sexuality was appearing at the age of 13, where you self-identify yourself. And I identified myself as a woman. And I remember that day, my father beat me because I told my mother I wanted to be a woman. I don't know where it came from. This came something. I said, why am I a boy? I should have been a girl. Back then, they didn't have no term for what I was going through. I didn't know what I was going through. And sure enough, my parents didn't know what I was going through. And they beat me because they were Christians at the time, and back then Spanish people either you're macho or feminine. They didn't understand, because bad enough they didn't understand what being gay was. I didn't tell them I was gay. I told them I wanted to be a woman. Like, why was I born like this? I didn't understand why I had this thing, but I felt another way. And asking my parents, these were my parents that helped me, the answer they gave me, they were totally like against me. So I was confused. So they telling me how I was feeling was wrong. So where do I go? So I ran away because I couldn't stay in the home when I wasn't wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And I was only 13, Luna. And this back then when they had the toolkits for like 50 cents to get on the train.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
No, I remember that.
With the wooden ones, like the big fans. I got on this. I never took a train in my life because of my femininity and the way I was. They could, even though they beat me and punished me, and I did the psychiatry, I did the shock treatments, I did the baptism, they did not know I didn't know at that time what we were going through. So my parents tried everything to cure me of whatever it is I was going through, but it didn't work. If anything, whatever I was feeling was becoming out. My spirit, my woman, my soul of a woman was coming out stronger.
Mm-hmm.
You taking pictures?
No, for some reason it stopped. I don't know why. Go ahead.
Ran out the
No, go ahead.
So then I ran away. I got on the train. I never took the train before. I hopped there. I had no money. I just ran away. And I ran away. My father beat me. This is the first time he really, really beat me because I told him I was a woman. I had enough. I couldn't hide it. I said, I don't care what you say, I'm a woman. And so they must have thought I was crazy. And they beat me. I said, I know I was going to die here. So I ran away. I got on a train. I got off on 14th Street, Union Square. This is 1987. I was 13. I just turned 13.
Mm-hmm.
Walked from 14th Street, Union Square to 8th Avenue. And when I got there, I saw my dream come true. I saw girls in shoes and makeup and glamour. The cars were honking at them. You had the pimps on the corner. You had real girls. Back then, 14th Street was like the meat market in 8th Avenue. And back then, it had sections. 6th Precinct. I'm not trying to glorify prostitution in the street, but this is where I was born. So please, you guys, don't judge me on or whatever or where I come from, but I'm just keeping it real. This is where I was born. And the ballroom life was back then. It was about misfits and have-nots and could not be. And that's what the ballroom was created for the ones that could not have or could not be. So for us to be somebody. And that's what the scene was created. But the people that were nobodies to be someone. So, with that being said, I came upon these transsexuals for 8th Avenue. Not just transsexuals, the pimps. There's like this whole world. I'm 13, mind you. I just finally told my parents what my struggle was. And at 13, I'm confirming this. So, I was way beyond my years. I didn't even know at that time. And I met my first, I'll never forget, it was legendary icon, Mother Leah Richards. I was 13. I want to be just like you because I saw her voguing. She was voguing in the street. I was watching her. I was like, what is she doing? Oh, I just saw her hands. And I looked like she was creating spells, like creating this energy around her. So I was like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. I want to be just like her. So I ran to her. I was like, and she was like, and mind you, I was this 13-year-old child, no hormones or nothing. Harassing. Where you come from? Where's your mother? I want to be just like you. Please help me. No one understands. I don't understand you. I found this is my destiny. I think she understood my urgency of how I felt, and she actually listened. Because I went to all the girls like this. Nobody wanted to get out of here. You're a child. Nobody paid me any mind. But remember, you're young and 13. I was a fucking mess. And she took me in. She said, where you stay? I said, listen, my family doesn't want me. I don't know what I'm doing, but God let me here. But trust me, if God didn't let me, I ran from my parents' house, getting beat, telling my mother I wanted to be a woman. 5 minutes later, I'm on the 6th train. I get off on Union Square, and I meet Leah. Come on now. Okay?
So that was your introduction to ballroom?
That was my destiny, darling. Okay? So that was my introduction.
Mm-hmm.
So I met Leah. She took me in at 13. She didn't let me work. She did tell me about the streets, though. So she took care of me. Out of her earnings, her work in the street, she took care of me until I was like 16. After a while, at that time, in that world, that was the age for you to grow up. Mm-hmm. So I finally had my first client. She was with me. She led me through the whole way. This is my deck of cards, the hands I was dealt with. I'm sure you guys said it was another way for the girl to get a life, but I'm sorry. This is the life that the deck of cards I was dealt with, and this is the
But it
best
was a
way.
different time too.
It was
There weren't no green chimneys. There was
even
no.
though you're telling them they're still gonna judge you, and you guys could never walk a mile in my motherfucking shoes, okay? Ever. So anyway,
But being gay then
it wasn't. No, I'm not gay.
No,
So
I know,
I'm not
but
saying
being
a transgender at that time
Mhm.
was not. It was about survival of the fittest.
Right.
You had not just.
Because the girls have more advantages now today.
Yeah, now these girls can walk in and get a fucking free hormone shot. Okay. Okay, we were spending 1,000 for 1 milligram of CC a shot, and one milligram, $1,000 for 1 milligram, darling. Okay, these girls get a free shot, a free pill, honey. Change their name and they're a fucking woman, honey. Okay.
So when you joined the scene,
I joined the scene. No, Leah, I saw her Vogue. I asked her what she could. I didn't see her, but I was watching her.
was she a Richards then already,
She
or?
was Richards already.
Oh, okay.
She's a root to the house. It wasn't for her, like I said, if it wasn't for her recognizing my existence, I would not exist. I owe my entire life to my mother Leah.
Mhm.
So she took me in. I watched her. I was too young to go to balls, but I still went anyway. So she was my mother. So she was very strict. I wasn't allowed to participate. She didn't want to run. I had to sit at the richest table because she knew what the ballroom scene at that time. Even though it was a different time, it still was the drugs. It still was the prostitution. It still was the pedophile. The same way we had the scene with it today, it's just the same way it was back then. It was just more racially motivated, blatantly, mind you. So, and I was the only Spanish Vogue femme against all these African Americans. I didn't see it like that. I just saw myself as being a competitor. You know, I like to compete. I like to dance. So I already liked to dance before, and I saw her do this beautiful dance. I didn't look at the ball. I just saw her like moving the world. I was like, oh my god, that's so beautiful. And she like, get out of here. I was like her greatest fan. You gotta teach me. I harassed her. She finally started teaching me when I turned 17.
Mhm.
She said, for your birthday, I'm gonna teach you Kristina. I said, oh my god, Jesus Christ, thank you. And once she stood with me 3 weeks straight, I worked her. I sucked as much energy I could out of her. Once I got the print of her pussy and I turned it into mine, it was all she wrote. I took over the ballroom scene.
So, like, performance is important for you.
It's not just important. I don't care what anybody says, but this is what I am. The ballroom. You know, I was a homeless kid. I ran away. And the ballroom back then wasn't just about competition. It was a community. It was a community that took the unwanted in. It was a community that took whether you was ugly, fat. Remember, back then, you say you gay, you was out the fucking door. No one cared about you. But other outcasts loved another outcast. And that's how the ballroom was back then. We were shunted. We was already outcast from the world. We was outcast within our own gay community. The white girls were like, oh honey, we don't deal with you tired naughty faggots. We the minority within our own community, okay? So we had to create a situation where we had to survive and fit somewhere. Since we couldn't fit anywhere, why not fit here? We got our own fucking place, and that's exactly what they did. So the ballroom scene was about tradition, it was about community, it was about taking out our kids. They really back then took care of their kids. They didn't let their kids do the drugs they did now. They didn't escort them and pedify them like they're doing now. They didn't do all that. They didn't take advantage of our youth. Back then, they took care of their fucking kids. The ballroom scene, the gay people, not even the ballroom scene, the gay community itself took care of the young ones. Very, very, very well. I don't know what happened. I don't know where that went, but back then, it was more of a community. It was more of a family. I could walk up to you and say, hey, I want to be a tranny. Welcome to the fucking family. No questions asked. Now, who the fuck are you? How much you make, girl? What house you in? What kind of drug you taking? What you give me? What's what it is I can get from you? That's what how the scene is about. How much I can take from you. Back then, it wasn't about that. Oh my god, you ain't got nothing. Let me give you what I got, so I can bring you off your feet. That's how it was back then. It's not so giving as it is now.